I'm not sprayed. My nose is clear though. I'm good.
What's up, folks? This is the DG show. We will be speaking on Juneteenth today. Ladies, if you can, I am live in Visual Thoughts. If you wanted to share the live, we can do that now. Please.
I did that, I think.
Yeah, me too. And then you can, I usually join it and then I mute it.
Oh, I'm loud.
That's me on my end. I didn't mute my, we good. Okay. Hey folks, welcome to the DG show. I am your host. I believe Coco will be joining us later. I think she has some work related things going on right now and we're in the middle of, I understand that totally. So one of the things about Juneteenth that I want us to think about is what makes tradition, as well as who has formed tradition in the past in this country, meaning the different holidays or the different social gatherings and things of that nature. Why are those things tradition? Who pushed for them? How did they get accepted? And because to me, in my opinion, I've heard of Juneteenth before, but it's getting more and more popular, I'll say. And I think culturally our people want to be more in tune with themselves as well as their ancestors and what we've been through as a whole. And I think Juneteenth is vital. Right now, our mindset, I believe Juneteenth is vital because it connects us in a way that still kind of goes on today. We had to wait over 2 years for everybody to be free. That's some of the stuff we're still fighting, getting bros doing 30-something years and coming, oh, it's not you, my bad, it's not you. You can go home now. We're going to give you some dough, but you can go home now. So I want us to look at it in that way. I want us to look at it in that way. So first off, I'd like to welcome our guest, Nneka Nnamdi. How you doing, sister?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm glad that you could come. As soon as I thought of this show, I actually thought of you. So you can't disappoint me right now. You know what I'm saying?
I have. Let me explain something to you. I have off days too. But this probably won't be one of them though.
No, you know what? I agree. I know this is something that you love, but it's something that you love that actually puts a smile on your face versus trying to argue with people and making them see a different point of view. Yeah, you see it, Dana? You see her?
You sure you got the right person, Dana?
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's her. You know what I'm saying?
Never.
But I'm sorry. I'm trying to change my name.
I was trying not to look so dark, but I don't know I got the lights on. Okay.
That might have been. I think I need a light in the back. But Nneka, can you give us the general, premise, the beginning, why Juneteenth even is? Can you give us that, a little bit of history?
Sure. So for those who don't know, early in I think it was in September of 1863. During the Civil War, President Lincoln at the time issued the Emancipation Proclamation, which effectively freed enslaved Africans in the Confederacy as of January
1st, I believe.
January 1st, 1863. So let me go back. In September 1862, he issued a proclamation, which is basically what we would know today as an executive order from the president that would free any enslaved Africans in the Confederacy as of January 1863. And that's key to note that only the ones in the Confederacy that were able to either escape to the Union or get behind Union lines. So what that means is in a state like Maryland, which was a border state, it did not free any enslaved Africans in the state of Maryland. And so I like to point that out as a nuance because we need to be really clear that the Union was not exactly our ally and certainly not our friend, right?
Okay.
But moving forward, so the war progresses. It isn't until June 19th, 1865, that General Gordon arrives in Galveston, Texas, and makes the announcement to Galveston, the greater Galveston area, or to Texas, that the Emancipation Proclamation effectively has freed enslaved Africans. Now, people knew about it, but there was not enough Union, there weren't enough Union troops
to enforce
in order to enforce the realities of the Emancipation Proclamation. And so that is the day, June 19th, 1865, is the day that enslaved Africans in Galveston area found out that they had been freed.
That was the last of
yes
enslaved Africans. And
well, let's
okay,
not.
I'm listening.
Not exactly.
Okay.
So technically, yes.
Okay.
Not exactly, because we do know that there were pockets and instances in other places in Florida and Alabama where folks were entered almost immediately into these sharecropping, peonage, apprenticeship relationships, which are effectively slavery, or were used in convict leasing schemes, which was effectively slavery.
Right.
Fast forward to the day, they're the forerunners of the prison, what we know as the prison industrial complex. So I just want to introduce those nuances. So yes, in the broadest sense, that was the announcement that, hey, y'all Black folks around here is free from your master.
Right.
And then, in the subsequent years on that day, to mark that auspicious occasion, you know how we get down. We like to throw an event. We like to throw a celebration. We like to honor and venerate that particular, mark that particular event. So you would have anything from churches getting together, having church socials.
Okay.
You would have folks, this is Texas, so you would have rodeos. To be clear, sometimes we don't, if you look at Westerns that are produced, you don't recognize that most of the something like 30% of cowboys actually were of African descent.
And I want to piggyback on something that you're saying, that even the term cowboy wasn't a term that white men use for themselves. When have you ever known a white man to call himself a boy? And it was because we were so good at what we did that the name eventually became just a general term for all those Western men in that field, as far as cowboys, basically.
Right.
That's interesting to know.
And so, there were rodeos in celebration of Juneteenth. There were parades. There were all sorts of different gatherings mostly in Texas, but it has eventually spread to now where something like 47 of the 50 states officially recognize Juneteenth. Now, that doesn't mean it's a state holiday and people get off.
Right.
It means that there's an official recognition. They officially recognize the day as significant in American history.
Okay.
Right. And so basically that is the sum total of what the history surrounding Juneteenth and why it is marked as an important day in American history. But I would assert should be celebrated as an important holy day or holiday in Black America and as a history.
Okay. So is there information about when the first celebration, did it happen like the year following? Or
my understanding is the year following in Galveston, there was, I believe, a parade. Parade and like a cookout that happened in the year following. So that would have been 1866 is my understanding. But again, any of this information is readily available and readily searchable. And I do encourage everybody to research everything that you hear out
always
and make sure that what you hear, because I'm not infallible, And some of the information, we find information, sometimes it is correct completely, and sometimes it is not. So I encourage people to really to study this particular holiday, and in general, to really do a good study of the period of enslavement, not just in America, but in the Americas, in the Caribbean, and
definitely,
and in Africa and in Europe. You know, and that's a big chunk.
Damn, them too.
We'll never know.
Study.
We'll never know it all. That's not the point. But the point.
You ain't even. Then next you gonna talk about Australia and.
It is important, but study what you. The point is study what you can.
Right.
As long as you're Dewey Decimal System, I'm good.
Damn, you still got the Dewey Decimal System. You showing your age, sister. Them card catalogs.
Go it is.
I ain't going that far.
So again, I want us to constantly think about what makes a holiday. Why are we celebrating something? So I actually wrote down some of the holidays that America celebrates. And of course we have New Year's Day, Veterans Day, that's an honorable day. Columbus Day, people that's starting to get changed and called Native Day, Native American in certain places, right? So that's a change coming. Labor Day, that's honorable. Thanksgiving, okay. Christmas, I ain't beef with nobody religion. Do what you do. Now, President's Day, about half of them ain't that, you know what I'm saying?
All of them are suspect.
But I mean, like directly straight racist, we can just say, yeah, that he owned slaves. Yeah, he did the Trail of Tears, and you know what I'm saying? So proof that how their mindset was. But we celebrate. But the country celebrates. That's my point. MLK Day, I want to say, if anyone's listening to this that are young, I want to say, let's say 40 years old or younger, you probably don't remember when MLK Day wasn't a holiday. And let me tell you something, the students is always the young folks. If you don't understand what's going on today, it's always the young folks that have that spirit of change more than the elders. Not to say that the elders shouldn't be there to assist and push in the right direction, but it's that strength of the youngins. So we fought, and I want to say I was in the 11th grade at Woodlawn. They wouldn't let us. That's when certain states were giving MLK. It was like a fight, and a lot of people were fighting it. The last year we didn't have it at Woodlawn High School. Somebody burned the bookstore on the 3rd floor. They pushed all the students across the street. Remember, across the street it used to be Pace Warehouse. Then they got changed to something else. So we were across the street in that, and sad to say, more than a few white boys just got their ass whipped.
When did it actually become a holiday? What year?
I want to say 87.
87,
86.
Because we were working before that to do it. I remember I was in junior high, and we had buttons and we had petitions where it was you couldn't spend a penny. That was the theme.
Wow.
Not one single penny.
Okay.
I still had my button around here somewhere where we were starting to try to get that holiday made. So it was a long time in the working. It wasn't just
saying middle school, so it took.
No, I ain't say I went to middle school. I went to junior high school.
Oh yeah, it wasn't no middle school, huh? My bad. I'm sorry. Yeah, because I didn't go to middle school either. So that sounds like a good 10, 12 year push.
Yeah.
Before it became a legal holiday.
Right.
But we always celebrate. Remember, that's around the time that Stevie Wonder dropped Happy Birthday. That was that push.
Right.
That was then. So when y'all hear you know how we do now at the birthday parties and we sing Happy Birthday, that's recent. That's recent history from that song surrounding MLK.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna take. I'll say this. Even if we don't ever get recognition on a national level, meaning a legal holiday for Juneteenth, and we don't even have to push for it, we just have to celebrate it. We can say, no, out of respect, nobody's going to work. That's the day we got off. That was the first day we were off the clock, folks. You feel what I'm saying? Nah, we ain't not June 19th. Nah, you know I ain't coming. Well, we're having this at the company. Well, y'all gonna have to get a tip because I'm not coming. That's my day off. Y'all gave me that day off, and I'm taking that day off every year forever. We could do that. And guess what they'll do eventually? Well, we got to go ahead and just pay everybody for the day and give them the day, because we'll disrupt the economy for that day if we understand our power. You know what I'm saying? If we understand that. So 10, 12 years.
It transition like some other holidays where they don't recognize it, but they don't penalize you for taking that day off, like a Sunday. If I say I can't work on Sunday, I gotta go to church, they're not gonna penalize me. They give you that day. It might be something like that, but you still gotta take your own day.
Right. Now, I wanted to, I'm trying to look at my notes. It was something on my mind. Oh, to me, this is perfect timing. So I was going back and forth with a brother earlier this week or last week in the middle of the week about Juneteenth, and he was talking about we shouldn't be celebrating and whatever. But for today's standards, you have something, in my opinion, you have something called Warrior Code, and then street dudes have something called G Code. And in both those codes, we don't leave any men behind. You understand? In both those codes is we fight together. We run together, but we're going to fight together. We stand together. That's what this holiday is. It's not acknowledging the Emancipation Proclamation. It's acknowledging when all of us took that step outside of slavery, when all of us were told we're free and we acted on it. Whatever came behind that, we knew a bunch of racism still going on today. So we understand that they weren't totally free, but at least mentally, we could start that ball rolling of being mentally free and understanding ourselves on a different level, in a different light for our own self. So we don't leave people behind. We don't leave people in bondage that didn't do anything wrong. All the t-shirts y'all see, all the fundraisers, it's the same code. That's what the holiday is about, when all of us were free. That's what it's about. So for those folks who don't understand why Juneteenth is so important, think about somebody that you know or read about that came home after 10, 15, 20 years of not doing anything, and what kind of celebration you would have for that person once they did come home.
Right.
What kind of celebration you had when that judge say, oh no, y'all were completely wrong back then. Send them home. Send them home. I see that the police did this and this and this, which is why most of that's another, I swear I want to get into that discussion.
So I want to put this in. So it appears, at least, that, sometimes we have a challenge with this idea of honoring our ancestors. And I don't know where this challenge comes from, in that we repeatedly honor the ancestors of the people who disenfranchised us, who humiliate us, who disrespect us, who enslave us. But we somehow have developed this thing where we don't want to honor our ancestors. And I have to say to people, number one, this idea that we just never fought enslavement is patently incorrect. If you look very carefully up and down the coast of West Africa, if you look at the history of the countries we now know as Ghana, Guinea, Nigeria, Senegal, Benin, Cameroon, Angola, there is a whole history of people resisting colonialism, which is the precursor to enslavement, right? There's a whole history of that. If you look at the Caribbean and South America and Central America and the America, there's a whole history. They're not going to tell you how many slave insurrections there were. They're not going to tell you how many times somebody's grandmother poisoned the shit out of master. They're not going to tell you that, because it defies the lie that we accepted enslavement
until they wanted us free.
Yeah, because we were somehow inferior.
Right.
They're not going to tell you that between 1865 and 1900, we amassed 15 million acres of farmland. They're not going to tell you those things, because those things defy the lie. And so part of the reason I think that we don't want to honor our ancestors is because we're somehow we've allowed their narrative to make us embarrassed of our ancestors, and we shouldn't be. Because
Right.
there's nothing to be embarrassed about. We have consistently resisted enslavement. And even more importantly, we have to be clear about the power of myth and mythology. There's a whole myth. These folks have created a whole mythology about the Confederacy and about the Confederates. So much so that they have accepted into their psyche that the traitors of America fly a flag, have monuments to people who were traitors, and proudly say, it's not about slavery, it's about our Southern heritage. That's the power of myth and mythology. Meantime, we don't mythologize those of us who survived enslavement. We don't mythologize those of us who chose to jump off ships and commit suicide, which is a choice. And it should be elevated as a choice. We don't do that. We continue to allow them to mythologize these traitors. We continue to allow them to mythologize Thomas Jefferson, who was a pedophile. We continue to allow them to mythologize that, but you don't mythologize your grandfather who went to World War II and came back a little off.
Right.
And we get it. He was a little off. He did some stuff that was not, but we don't allow for the tragic hero in our narrative, and we have to stop that. We have to mythologize and venerate our ancestors in the same way. Well, not exactly in the same way that they do, because they be lying. We can tell a whole complete.
But I'm with you, and I understand. But I think part of the issue, and it's starting to change in a lot of minds. But part of the issue is we just didn't have access to our history the way we do now. It's some folks in their 60s that are just learning about certain things, and they're starting to understand that the lies that we've been taught are so deep in the society. And this is the kicker that we don't take into account. We're discovering that we were lied to, but we also have to understand the white folks that think the way they think, they were lied to too. So for them to hear the truth sounds like a lie to them. Our eyes are being opened to our truth, which means their truth is now being exposed as a lie, or not to be seen as great. And that's hurtful to a lot of them. And that's not our problem, but that's a lot of the back push and the backlash of us discovering who we really are. They're pushing back like, no, George Washington was when you find out that George Washington actually didn't have wooden teeth, but he had slave teeth. You understand? He had slaves' teeth pulled, put in some kind of whatever, so he could have teeth
of his own.
First off, that's morbid, which is a different kind of understanding of who they were.
Altogether,
that's morbid. That one right there on him. Give me that one from him. You understand? He went shopping. You know what I mean? But but by law, that was his right, which shows how barbaric slavery really was compared to what we think about it today. So, and that's the backlash that they're actually, now they have to say, white folks, as well as many black folks, they have to say, oh, Sally Heming was raped since she was 13.
Right.
That's why he sent for her when he was in France, because he couldn't get what he wanted from anybody in the vicinity. So he sent the one that he groomed. That's it. You understand? She was a rape victim for her whole life.
It wasn't a love story at all.
Definitely not. But in the I can't think of the movie. I still remember. I didn't watch the movie because of the first words. It was an NBC movie or something, and it was about Sally Heming. And I want to say her first words were something like, "I don't mind being a slave," basically because Thomas is looking out for me.
Exactly.
And I turn the channel.
That was. Here's the thing. Even if let's say those were her actual words.
Okay.
Even if they were, that is a survival mechanism.
Yes, it is.
And that was her way of
Yeah.
that was her way of managing the realities of her circumstance. That doesn't make him less a pedophile, and that doesn't make him less an enslaver.
Right.
It just means that, you know, we do a lot. We have to be careful about pathologizing the ways in which Black people resist enslavement and resist white supremacy and all the other stuff. We do a lot. So we have to be careful to point the pathology directly where it belongs. And the pathology is the whole mindset. Racism as a mindset, white supremacy as a mindset, capitalism, colonialism. We can list the isms, sexism, because all of that is wrapped up into what we find ourselves facing today. And so that also is sometimes why we, you know, and we don't want to let them because I know why you turned it off. You turned it off because it was a romanticization
of a rape victim.
Of a rape. Right.
Yeah.
I get it. I'm just saying that we have to make sure that we aren't pathologizing her response. We keep the pathology and, you know, right where it belongs, which is on him.
Right.
And all his, because how you can say that Black people are not human and then have sex with Black people
and have children with them. I'm not that. So when I think of Sally Heming, I like to compare it for people to get a comparison of today. Remember, it was a little bit more than a few years ago. Remember the bus driver that had the two women tied up in his house? He had a child with one, and the guy that was coming from McDonald's found him in the yard, and the brother, and that's how they got saved. And then the guy that got locked up, he wound up committing suicide. To me, that's very equivalent to Sally Heming, meaning they were locked in the house. He was doing what he was good enough, going to work, doing everything that everybody thought he was normal. But he had two women locked up, having sex with him when he wanted, had a baby with one of them. So then everybody was upset when it came out. But when you say Sally Heming, she did that till the day Thomas Jefferson died. He didn't free her. His sister freed her after he died. So she was his slave until the date from and that was his wife's sister.
Right.
I often think about that too. Like, that was the first Jerry Springer episode, right?
You stupid.
That's something Jerry Springer would have had on.
No, the first Jerry Springer episode is the whole Habsburg dynasty in Europe. That sleeping with your cousin, making babies with your sister, that is very European royalty. That Jerry Springer.
Yeah, they like to keep the blood in the blood. Yeah, you're right.
Let's not put that on Thomas. Let's put it on his people back across the water.
I don't even want to think about that. Anyway, because that's the idol. But if that's their perception of keeping the bloodline pure, they're going to run with it, not knowing that genetically you really messing the bloodline up. You're not supposed to cross that close.
Right.
So it is what it is.
Yeah.
But
and I like to note that we should be clear that some of what's wrong with us has to do with the unfortunate reality that our bloodlines were crossed
purposely.
They should not have been
during
the period of enslavement. And because a lot of times our family ties were broken in the years afterwards, we have continued to cross.
Because we don't know. Yeah.
Because we don't know. And so one of the things that is really important, I think, for us to do surrounding Juneteenth, you can make it a part of your Juneteenth. You can make it a part of reimagining what a family reunion is to make sure that you're doing your genealogy. And yes, it's a lot of work. Yes, sometimes you need to hire a professional genealogist, but it is important to know the story of your family, because when you learn certain things about your bloodline, you learn certain things about yourself. It gives you some information about you that you didn't have, and it's really important. I said there's a Black food a documentary about Black land and food sovereignty, and one of the things that I said is that we have this thing where we believe the stuff that they tell us about ourselves because we don't know our family stories. So we think that we just arrived in Baltimore. And for some families, that's true. You were enslaved. You got off at the boat down at the pier on Broadway, and you've been in Baltimore ever since. But there's stories that happen that tell you that your people did dope stuff. They did great stuff.
Yeah.
They tried to do A, B, and C. And a common story is your folks came from North Carolina. Yeah, but what you don't know is that your grandfather owned land.
Right.
He tried to vote. They was like, The White Citizens Council, the KKK, whomever, showed up at the house, at the homestead, 50 deep, snatched him up out the house and lynched him. And your grandmother and aunts was like, we going to Baltimore because we got uncle up there. And it's better up there. And in ways it was. But because of the pain of that, they didn't pass them stories on. So you just think your whole family line is lame. You think you ain't have no grandfather, but you did. The police killed him, and don't nobody talk about it because it was so painful. And those things really damage how we feel about ourselves. So I encourage us to make sure it becomes a part of our practice to learn those genealogies. And sometimes you're gonna have to ask some painful questions. And look, sometimes you're gonna find out that somebody that you thought was your cousin was your brother.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a lot of family secrets.
A lot of family secrets.
Yeah, we definitely have a lot of family secrets.
We have to deal with those things so that you find out what you need to know. And you're not like, why is this little kid, this baby 3, why is this baby acting like this?
Right.
Because you'll find out that, that's the energy or spirit of that great grandfather that then came back up and through here and about to tear up shit. Because nobody knows what that's about. And so we really have to have some forward thinking and make sure we put genealogies on our list of things to do, right? And stop giving Ancestry.com y'all money.
I'm not doing that.
Hold on, telling you from Nigeria don't mean nothing. It's 17, 50, 11 ethnic groups. Right. You need something more specific, try African ancestry, and that has its limits too. But that's at least going to give you an ethnic group that you can then, saying Nigeria don't mean nothing. Right. Saying Yoruba means that you can go to a place, you can go talk to some people, you can find out about the culture. Again, it has its limitations, but it gives you something more specific. And when you combine that with your bloodline, with your genealogy, and you find out, y'all from South Carolina Low Country. So that can point you into the genealogy say this, and the DNA test say that. This makes sense. So I just encourage everybody to be about that business.
I don't want to. First off, I'm not big on giving anybody my DNA. So that's the first thing. But second thing is there's a big missing piece to all of those DNA family finding DNA organizations or companies, and that is the bloodline of the Native Americans. It's like it's missing, and it's been. If you go back in American history, you see in court papers where they separated us legally from being called natives, and now we're black or Negro or whatever they called us for the time. But they separated us, whereas in the past, they knew we were together. They knew we were the same in a lot of instances as far as different tribes and things of that nature. And that's completely missing. I've never heard anybody say, remember back in the day, we used to say it quick, I got some Indian in my family. That was true.
Yeah, sometimes it's true. And sometimes that's cover for not wanting to say, because we romanticize.
I got white in my family. Yeah.
Sometimes don't nobody want to say, and let's be clear, don't nobody want to say great grandmother got raped. Right. That's why she got that straight black hair. Right. So you can say she Cherokee. Mm-hmm. Man, y'all Bamas is from Arkansas somewhere. Like ain't no
right.
Some of that stuff is a story that we make up. Some of it is actually correct. That there were, if your people was in, Florida and they, they ran away and get some saying whatever, and they went and were together with the indigenous Americans. But let's also understand that there are white people who paid $5 to be called American Indians. Yes. And yes. So a lot of the people that you see running around, this is why Elizabeth Warren's story, I laugh at, because a lot of what you see is that a lot of the Native Americans that you see you know, kind of, you look at them and be like, a lot of them are the ancestors of white people who were so poor that it made sense for them to gather up their little coins and get on that dolls rolls by paying the indigenous people.
Get that money in that land. Yeah.
And they not really, and that's all fine. But we just, again, you got to know the history. Otherwise, you get fooled by,
right.
You know, one of my coworkers bought this picture of his grandfather in, talking about his ancestry. I looked at that picture. I was like, he was like, oh, he Native American. I was like, he was like, why you shake your head? I said, that's black. That's not no Native nothing. That right there, that's black. That's a black man. And he was like, no. They go do the DNA test. He come back to work like, how did you know? I said, because I know my people.
Right.
Look at that nose.
Right. Right.
But again,
what we're told.
Yeah.
We're told. I want to say, Dante Stokes just said that you may find a sibling. He said he found a relative. Coco just said, I did ancestry long ago before I knew anything about African ancestry. Mm-hmm. I've been able to connect with a lot of family. Some did find parents they never knew and found out their parents weren't who they, that's deep.
That's deep.
You don't find that's not my mama? That's harsh.
Hey, listen, it can get funky. And it does help because more people have uploaded their DNA. Mm-hmm. So there's a story of
a lot of connections,
who found out he was royal. You know, we all want to be kings and queens.
Right.
Somebody was a village idiot. Let's be clear. But this particular brother.
We're going to talk about that. Go ahead, finish your thought.
This particular brother found out that he was descended from a particular royal line as a result of doing Ancestry.com. So I'm not begrudging them. I'm just saying that Nigeria ain't an answer. Ghana is not an answer.
Right.
Fulani is more of an answer. Akan is more, you know, like.
Where you from?
Sorry, it's more of an answer. Right. So that's all I'm saying.
Right, but our parents and grandparents and they don't want us to do that Ancestry.com thing.
Yeah,
they don't want us to do them
because the lies will come out. Yeah,
the lies will come out because Nneka could be my sister, but because my mother had me at the age of 15 or whatever, I went over to Aunt Betty's house. Never had official papers or anything like that. She just raised me as her own, and that's how we did things. We didn't put things on paper.
Right.
We could be blood sisters.
We have to, at this point in the game though, we have to demystify, you know, my grandfather who is now dead, I was asking him some questions. He told me, look little girl.
My mother told me that too. She said, you adding too much. Don't try to do math now.
But he laughed. No, he said, he was like, it's the 1930s in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. Girl, what you think they was to do other than drink and have sex?
That's right.
Wow. So real quick online, Shannon said it happened to LL Cool J. He found out his mama wasn't his mama.
Yeah.
What kind of crime is that? What kind of crime comes with that? Like, that's real, right? What kind of sitting by yourself with a pint or something and crying is that?
Right.
There shouldn't be no crying.
But that was like in his 30s, I thought it was when he found that out.
What you mean there shouldn't be no crying?
When I say it shouldn't be any crying, let me say it like this. We have to accept the realities that our families have been in survival mode for 500 years.
I agree with that.
People have made some good and bad decisions in order to sustain family. And so the reality of it is family is the care provided and the feeling in a way more than
my mama's my mama. My mama's my mama. You can't somebody else might be family, but my mama's my mama.
Your mama might not be your mama.
You can't say that. Say that was great fight. That was great. No.
Many children raised with their sister.
I agree.
Who is actually their mama, but their grandmother they thought was their mama.
But that'll break. But when you find out,
get some therapy.
Right.
When you find out, you're gonna have you're gonna have to get therapy, and it's gonna be years. It might be years before you can actually have an honest conversation about how you feel or what you're going through. When stuff, in my opinion, when stuff like that happens, things will click in your past like, well, that's why I ain't fit in right there. Right. Or that's why they was all hushed when I walked into the room. And that's why I look so much like my sister.
That's right.
Because she's my mother.
She's my mother.
That's true.
Everybody. I'm choking everybody.
Don't choke a bit, but
play. Yeah.
Don't choke everybody though.
That's hard right there. That's hard.
We can be our own worst enemies
Sorry.
at times with the lies that have been told through generations and generations. When we all sitting there reading obituary and like, that we ain't know that. Who?
Yeah,
Why
now I will say
why
that
granddaddy and her granddaddy?
siblings be popping up. Siblings be popping up on that obituary like, yeah, you had 7 kids. Be like, I know 3. What you talking about? Yeah.
But see, that goes into a whole nother situation where I had my first child at 16. And I remember some aunts on my father's side looking at me in a different way because I felt like I was an alienated. I felt like I was the only one that's ever done this in the whole family. And as I got older, I'm like, hold up, some of the math ain't working out right. Some of these children, you got 3 different daddies up in there. But yet you looked at me a certain kind of way because you thought your secret was tight. You know, so.
But some of that is we have to start. This is something that has happened as a result of enslavement. We do this respectability thing in order to, we try to achieve this respectability in order to be seen as fully human. And what has happened over the years is we don't see Black women in specifically, and that's why you had such a visceral reaction to the "my mama ain't my mama" thing. We don't see Black women as whole beings. We don't see Black women as complete beings, as sexual beings. You just, if you are not, then you don't get seen as a whole woman. You don't get seen as woman enough or human enough to be respectable. And I think that's one of the things that we have to break down. Folks laugh all the time and say all the time to me, like, yo, I cannot believe you told your sons that about you. And I'm like, no, because they need to understand that I'm a whole human being, that there are pieces of me that have nothing to do with being their mother. And those things do not mean I'm less respectable as a human, or I shouldn't be respected as a human being because I got multiple baby fathers or because of A, B, and C. And so specifically surrounding Black women, we really have to, this is a whole nother Zoom conversation.
It is, but that's okay.
We really have to break that down so that folks don't have that visceral reaction. Like,
like you're less than.
I don't want to know nothing about my mother past, man. I'm sorry. I don't want to know nothing. I don't. That's hard. And that's training, because I'll say this straight up. I wouldn't care what you say about my father. I really wouldn't. My mother's put on another pedestal, but what you're saying is not that she shouldn't be on a pedestal, but understand putting her on a pedestal doesn't make her less human or necessarily, I can't say more godly, because y'all did
taking her off what I would say is taking her off of the pedestal and looking at her like a woman, mother, doesn't make her less respectable.
Okay, I got you.
We get to understand her in a different way, and it would inform some of the things about y'all relationship.
It probably, I want to read this real quick. Robin said that her mom was raised by her mother's sister, basically her aunt, but she knew who her mother was, but she never found out who her father was.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes it's, listen, sometimes, again, let's be clear, sometimes there's some real unsavory, enslavement created some real unsavory behaviors,
practices. Yes, I agree.
In our community, and that's another thing we need. It's time to start, breaking some legs. I'm gonna say it figuratively or literally, how you want to take it, so that we can break the curse. Because what was done in terms of having us mix and force sex between enslaved Africans has created some practices that are not savory regarding consent and agency, and we need to break. That is a curse that it is upon us to.
It definitely is. Yeah, it's definitely on us. I'm with you. I want to get back to Juneteenth real quick. But I already knew the conversation was gonna. But it needs to be. It can't be just about one day. It has to be. We have to go into the history. We have to go into our own personal psyche. We have to understand why it's important for us to start claiming what we want to claim, whatever that is. We need to understand that it's up to us to claim it. But I have an issue with the Juneteenth flag. Oh man, I don't like the flag. Just didn't.
The red, black, and green flag?
No, the official Juneteenth flag is a red. It's on the flyer that I did the show on.
Oh,
it's a blue and white. It's red, blue, and white, isn't it?
It's red, white, and blue. It has a star in the middle, and they said the star represents Texas. But then basically, it has like an explosion around the star. That's what it's supposed to represent, meaning that was the end or something that way. But I can say I had to really think about it, and I understand that it's an American holiday. It's a holiday that came. Yeah, there it is. Mm-hmm. It's an American holiday that came about before Marcus Garvey coined red, black, and green. Far before.
Yeah, because I didn't know there was an official Juneteenth flag.
See, that's what I'm saying. So and
but who voted on this? I don't know what council did.
I don't think it was a vote. I think a group of.
I don't know on my ballot.
I think a group of black folks got together and made it, and that's just what it became. Because that's how tradition has started. So, and also this is a society that acknowledges flags a whole lot. Yeah, that's what we're going through with the Confederate. We hold on to symbols a lot in this society.
But that's true. Let's be clear. That's true in all societies,
okay.
Right? The symbols and the signs, that is true everywhere. What the challenge we have is, one, we have been so taught that Africa and Africans ain't had shit. Ain't have no signs, and ain't have no symbols, and ain't have no blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So we have, by the time you get to the end of enslavement, people in ways were so disconnected from that information.
Right.
We accepted this is the new, this is the new thing. We Americans,
yeah.
Which, again, not begrudging the choices that our ancestors made. And the truth is, we created it. Everything that America is.
Yeah.
Everything good about this place, that's us.
Or we forced the change some kind of way. Yeah, I agree.
And so we take ownership of our blood, sweat, and tears. And so and to be honest, the signs culturally, signs and symbols are very, very, very important. The key is to make sure that the signs and symbols reflect our own narrative, and that's why you're having a visceral reaction to that flag. Because you like red, white, and blue, man. Get the hell out of here with that.
Right.
But that was for them, and that don't mean you gotta use it. You can fly the red, black, and green. You can make up.
Do what you want.
You can make up some new Juneteenth flags, whatever you want to do. But I think the real issue is understanding the power of signs and symbols. And I always point to, I watch a lot of Asian movies, Asian epics on Netflix. Mm-hmm. Because I learn a lot about how they create the narratives that give them, those movies give you a certain thing. I can see Asian people watching them and being like, yup.
That's us.
We got the history, we got the da-da-da.
Right.
And so one of the things that's missing for us as African people, both here and on the continent, and the diaspora and on the continent, is disconnection from those ancient stories.
Yep.
Folklore in ways, the mythology. Just why if you watched American Gods, those Anansi scenes were so powerful because it gave you a connection to the folklore, to the signs and symbols in a different way. And so I think that is, we have to work on that as we going forward into this new iteration is reclaiming, reconnecting, and creating new symbols and new stories and new, and new mythologies surrounding our folk that make us, that edify us in a particular way.
Right.
Okay, but like I said, I don't think it's not going to be our generation that makes that change. It's going to be the generation right behind us.
Yeah, I agree.
Has to make that change, just like we did like you said, for the MLK holiday.
Right.
We walked around with with the pens and everything else. We walked around with the shirts that said it's a black thing. You wouldn't understand. I remember wearing my shirt.
And those are signs. Again.
Right. We made all those at that time and brought it up into the economy we are now. So it's up to the generation behind us.
Right.
Not for us.
I agree. Also, okay, so I have I guess a way out there thought, like you said, Dana, the next generation or maybe the generation after that. Mm-hmm. So Juneteenth and 4th of July are very close together. Maybe what, 3 weeks, something like that. In my mind, down the road, years, maybe decades, I could see us having freedom festivals from June 20th all the way to the 4th of July every weekend, because that's it. That's the whole country acknowledging both freedoms, and they're close together. So it would be a period of time where we're acknowledging each other and acknowledging the Black contribution, as well as the getting away from the European hold or the English hold. I think that possibly, that's just in my mind, like that would be something that would be very togetherness of America, to acknowledge Juneteenth, or just that freedom, that 3 weeks of, this is when everybody became free. This is our history as a country. It's so close together that we could do festivities in that manner. Maybe not necessarily like a Kwanzaa, but like that multiple day type of celebration, something like that. But that's in my utopia type mind, that something like that would happen, or it's possible. You know what I'm saying?
Anything is possible. I think we need to focus. We need to focus on creating and maintaining and reinstantiating Juneteenth as a high holy day in the Black community. I'm less interested about America at large, at least at this point, and more interested about making sure that we are clear.
Right.
Because I think we still doing too much trying to convince.
Yeah, but we got to convince ourselves.
Huh?
But we got a lot of this convincing is us trying to convince ourselves. Us trying to convince white folks. A lot of folks are, like I say, a lot of things are new to. We're still trying to convince ourselves that we are as great as we even say we were. A lot of us say, yeah, like you said, yeah, we were kings and queens. Well, name 3 of them then. Well, what did they do to be great? Name some inventions. Name some things that we don't know. It's just a general. Oh yeah, we come from kings and queens, like you said. Nah, some people come from the town drunk. They just did. Some people come from the lazy dude that had to be made to get up to go hit the farm every day, or he wasn't going to eat. You know what I'm saying? So everybody didn't come from, but we need to convince ourselves while we're trying to convince white folks or this society in general of who we are.
Right. And, I think honestly, unfortunately, they know more about who we are and what we are than
some. The elite white folks, not the average everyday working at Walmart, racist little.
They
not
know.
them.
I'm gonna tell you why they know too. They know because they know when they turn on that radio and they listen to that music,
everything,
and they know when they pick up that sandwich, that's the spirit of, or your big mama in there. They know. Like let's not on certain levels. They might not have all the history, but there's a certain energy that we carry, and they know what that is. But I'm not disagreeing. Maybe there could be in some, future. I just think that, our focus right now really has to be.
I agree with that. It has to be
on the internal personal development, and in our family, and then, wider community development.
Right. Coco just said that we go live for everything else. We should make it a habit, basically, to go live on Juneteenth to talk about where we are, what we're celebrating. And that's even educating folks and making folks feel more and more proud, and teaching at the same time, because something that if you go live, it's something that you might say that's going to provoke somebody's thought to go research something that you said, or have a better understanding of what they know. So I definitely, that's an idea to push us on each other in a positive way. I definitely agree with that. It's something that I have to bring up real quick. I need your help, Nneka, because of what we're going through right now. I want you to get into the oh shit bag. and what it's for. And people, we have to understand the times we're in, and we have to understand that the pandemic, as well as the protests, as well as natural disasters, as well as other types of civil unrest, we have to be prepared to leave our houses if we need to for 3 to 5 days or maybe a week or whatever. But there are certain things that Nneka understands that we have to be able to just grab and go to be able to do that. And that, did you name it the old shit bag?
I think one of my sister friends, my Kenya, somebody named it the old shit bag. I don't remember, honestly.
Oh, okay, so
that's what you're gonna say when you grab it, though.
Yeah, yeah, that's why you're going to get it. You looking at the news like, oh shit.
Go get your bag.
So can go ahead.
So I was going to say, you can start. Let me go back. I started emergency planning after Katrina.
Okay.
After, I sat on my couch and cried for a week, watching what happened and listening to the stories. I was like, we got to do something different. So I started then buying supplies. And basically an old shit bag is a bag that you can pick up and go out the door with at any given moment when you're home, or some people keep one in their car as well, that you can kind of live for 3 to 5 days if you need to leave your home.
Right.
Also planning around if you need to hunker into your home, right, for, like the pandemic. Mm-hmm. If COVID-19 didn't show us anything, is that we were, in a way, unprepared mentally, physically, and spiritually to even be in our own homes for a period of 30 days, which is crazy because folks paying all this money for these mortgages and don't know how to be home for 30 days.
Right.
That's deep.
That's a whole nother talk show. But if you go on FEMA's website, I really started with their list. And it has things like, some of these things are for not to go, but for home, like water enough for 3 to 5 days if the water gets turned off, first aid supplies, Band-Aids. Then you have, making sure you have enough medicine cordoned off, if you are somebody who is on maintenance meds. It can include like, so like now I have a suture kit. So if somebody's leg get busted open, we can sew them up and keep it moving.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
See, but right, Dana, but that's what we have to get in that mind state.
Right.
Listen, we watch the news of what's going on around the world, and we always look at it like it can't happen to us. When we see different countries, and we be like, well, damn, that's messed up. It could happen to us just like that.
But like you said, we weren't even prepared for COVID.
Right.
And that's something as basic as stay in your daggone home. You people were freaking out going to the grocery store. You should have enough food in your house at least to last you 3 days. So peanut butter, jelly, something.
So here's the thing. A lot of it is a mentality, and that's what I discovered. Right. A lot of it is just a preparation mentality, because if you watch, I couldn't believe, it's like, y'all gonna be home. Why y'all buying all this toilet paper?
Right. What are you cooking? That makes you this sick.
If you run out of toilet paper, you get in the shower and wash. It's a mindset. Right. Don't go to the store buying cereal, prepared foods. No, it's a pandemic. Stuff could get shut down. You're supposed to buy bags of rice. We have a very lackadaisical mindset, and so
I'm sorry, but I just think about somebody got a freezer full of Hot Pockets. You know what I'm saying? Somebody got a freezer full of stuff just to microwave and get the kids out of their face real quick. But that's not sustaining anything.
Can you put Hot Pockets on the grill? Maybe you can put Hot Pockets on the grill. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure you can, but it's still an instant food.
Yeah.
Right.
But most of it's a mindset, because we haven't had to deal with some of the things that folks have had to deal with in other countries. And so we have to adjust. First of all, we have to adjust that to know that, just remember, nobody came to save the people in New Orleans.
Right.
Somebody died. There's a family that died in the attic because
Right.
they didn't have an axe in their house to bust through the attic. They drowned in the attic. I will never ever forget that. Something is basic, and that's one of the things that I have. I have an axe.
Right.
Right. That's attached to the bag.
Right.
Having tents. It's a little. So you start. I say this. Start with the FEMA list, and then start to expand as you develop your mindset. You know, for this COVID, I started kind of growing. You know, experimenting with growing food. Right now, I got some collard greens and some kale that's looking real yummy outside. But it's an experiment in understanding like what happens if you can't. Like things like what you do. If you can't, what happens if you can't get to any food? Do you know how to fast for 3 days? Do you know how to drink water and
that fasting aspect? A lot of people shut down fasting because you'll be able to survive, but like you said, mentally, if you're not there, you're miserable the whole time that you don't have anything instead of settling your inside because I can go 5 days without food. I'm good.
Right.
It's so many things. It's being able, how many of us actually can defend ourselves, right? How many of us actually, if somebody was to attack us, or, as a woman, if somebody tried to take me, they gonna have to kill me where they try to take me from. Because I know that if they take you to a secondary location,
it's a wrap. Yeah.
It's a wrap. You gonna have to kill me.
Yeah, we gotta do it right here. Yeah.
You gonna have to get me to Target parking lot, and gonna have to. You're not gonna transport me. But that's understanding and doing some studying. There's a good book called How to Keep Your Family Safe and Stay Sane, and it talks about that the mindset that most women who experience a stranger rape, right? Somebody jumping out the woods on them,
right?
Out the shadows or getting in the elevator with them. Most women saw that person, felt something was wrong, or sensed that person, if the person was wrong, felt something was wrong, and did not react to save themselves because they did not want to appear rude. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Can you imagine? So it's a change, it's a complete change in the mindset in order to be prepared to defend yourself. And that's from the physical aspect and from, COVID, like basic stuff like making sure you drinking your water, making sure that you're exercising. It's all of these things. We really have to just change our mindset about how we're living our lives totally. And it's not an overnight. We got to be patient with ourselves.
Right.
I'm still learning. I'm still making adjustments. It really does mean thinking about what it is to live, like, and what it is to exist and what it is to be. I encourage folks, as a group called Nat Ministry, and they talk about Black folks resting and how rest is resistance, because we be doing all this stuff, we don't never sit down and really rest.
Right.
How that takes a toll, how that really takes a toll on us, because we out here chasing money and all of those things. We chasing all this money, and if on March 1st, if Governor Hogan had said, y'all got 72 hours, you gotta go in your house and stay in your house 30 days.
Nobody been prepared.
Most of us were not ready.
Right. You're right. You're definitely right.
That is a kind of thing that we can't have. We have
to be ready.
Right.
You don't know this COVID was bad. I'm not saying it wasn't bad. But this wasn't the worst. This wasn't like Ebola. This wasn't Ebola.
No.
It wasn't the plague.
You mad because you couldn't get your hair done and your nails done, basically, but you can still go to the grocery store.
Electricity still on, water still running. Yeah,
it wasn't bad.
So we just have to be prepared. We have to just think different. We have to think differently, and it is a process. We have to learn to, be simple. Go back to the basics, and that is real. And so, like I said, for the basics for preparing to be in your home. Start with the FEMA list, and then there are other lists. I'm actually preparing, hopefully early next year, to go take one of them real serious survival courses. So I say that to say that I'm still learning, right? But there are books, there are Black survivalist groups on Facebook. reach out, join. There are Black martial arts organizations. I'm a part of one. Come and learn how to defend yourself. There are Black gun clubs, because best believe, not only do you need to know how to use your hands, we need to know how to use them AR-15s.
Right.
Because I'm gonna say this: imagine if that brother, when they ran up on him, imagine if he had a weapon on him.
Right.
Right. My sensei always says it's better to be judged by 12 than
carried
carried by
6.
6.
You know that's right.
So imagine if he had pulled out his gun and just bop, 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 and laid them down. We would be having a
whole different
conversation. I'm only a little bit missed. I just wish that Breonna Taylor had woke up and had her own gun, and her and him was busting off,
bucking back. Right.
You know.
Yeah, it would have been different.
And please pray for that brother, because that has to be a hurting feeling.
Yeah.
You are defending. You know, I hope he doesn't feel like he was a failure, because he did exactly what he was supposed to do. It just that the outcome just wasn't. It just didn't go. It just didn't go the right way. But those things we have to be really preparing. We have to be preparing to use our hands. We have to be prepared to use our minds, our hands, and the tools that are available for us to survive in any given situation. So
Coco asked, what's the name of the self-defense club?
Oh, so Parker's Goju Karate Club. And you can, if anybody inboxes me on Facebook, I can put them in contact with my sensei if they want to come and study. We do traditional Okinawan style karate, which is the karate. If you remember in Karate Kid 2 or 3, whenever he went to Okinawa, that is the style that we practice. If you want something a little bit different, I know many capoeiras in the city and surrounding, so I can put you in contact with those folks. But you know, there's some martial applications of Tai Chi as well, and so I know some Black folks that do Tai Chi. We out here, we do all the stuff. So
I know that's right.
Right, we definitely have to start seeking out on purpose. That's part of change too. We have to seek out whatever you're starting to get interested in. Don't have a single track mind of when you're learning. When somebody introduces something to you, all you do is think about that. Understand that as you're learning, to learn as many aspects, thought processes about whatever you're learning, that learning from one person doesn't mean that you can't learn about the same subject from someone else with a different viewpoint, and because it'll expand your mind and your thought process. It'll just keep your mind open when you learn. Just don't get a single track mind. That's what I'm trying to say.
And I want to say this. Let's be clear. It is my belief, people can buy into this or not, COVID was the warning shot.
Right.
See, Earth, like, we forget that this planet is alive, right? And it adjusts, and adjusts to what we're doing, to what the animals and insects, like, it is responding. This we should take as a warning. It was like, sit down and get your shit together.
Yeah.
What comes next? Who knows?
Right.
But we might want to be paid. Think about it. This disease attacks people with hypertension and diabetes. 2 things that are
prominent in the Black community,
prominent in our community, but are preventable.
Yeah.
Right, with diet and exercise.
Yep.
We have the ability to make sure that in the future, should something like this happen, we are better prepared. We are more healthy. And so I telling people, take it as a warning. Make sure that the next time your numbers is better. Right. Your A1C is down, your pressure is down, and you can cut out whatever in your life.
Yeah.
Is causing.
Discipline is a factor.
Yeah.
Discipline is a factor. It definitely is. Definitely is. Well, Nick, I appreciate you.
Anytime.
I appreciate your information.
What you drinking? No, what you been drinking all night? Because I want to know what's in the jug.
So this
Before
right
we go.
in this jug is rum and lemongrass simple syrup and lemonade.
Oh, that looked good. Okay, but what's in the bottom?
That's lemongrass.
Oh, okay, got you. Okay.
Yeah, so I try to, I try
You
to.
put rum
You
in
try
it.
you try to get bent on a healthy note. I got you. I understand.
You got me.
I had to ask. I said, she was doing another thing on that. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, it's good.
I wanted
It's
to
good.
the
I
rum
try to
part
put
there.
I try to put spirits in my spirits. See what I'm saying?
Amen. Whatever works for you.
I got you. I appreciate you.
Appreciate
Love you.
y'all.
Thank you for the knowledge.
Thanks, sweetheart.
We'll definitely be seeing you. We'll be bumping each other anyway. So.
One thing.
I'm listening.
On Juneteenth, this Juneteenth, if you're looking for something to do, you can meet me at the Broadway Pier, which I think is 520 Broadway Street, right next to the Pendry Hotel, at 5:30 a.m. We're gonna do a little soiree. We'll just get together real quick, give some prayers to the ancestors and just uplift them and let them know that we remember them. I will share the flyer with you. I know it's early in the morning, but that's the time. That's the time when a lot of us, talk to our folk and get them, get the messages. So if you all people of African descent, let me be very specific. All people of African descent are welcome. And we're not gonna be out there long. We're not gonna hold people long. We're just gonna hit it and quit it. So again, that's this June 19th, 5:30 at the Broadway Pier.
Okay. Yeah, definitely tag me in the flyer, please.
Okay, we'll do.
I appreciate you.
Appreciate you too.
I see you around.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nice, sweetheart.
Pretty good show, Dana. I like
Pretty good show.
Yeah, I like
Very
it.
enlightening.
Yeah, Shannon, I'm with you. 5:30 a.m.
I know. I think you're gonna say 5:30 p.m.
Yeah, boy. But what she said, that is that, in my opinion, those wee hours in the morning are a lot of times when we just think.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I do. I do a lot of thinking.
That's one of my great memories of my grandmother. She used to wake me up when she would spend the night over our house, wake me up to pray and watch the sunrise. Then I could go back to sleep. She said, okay, you go back to sleep. Once you gave thanks, you go back to sleep, baby. Wow. So I remember that. Yeah. So that's a good memory I always have.
Yeah, that's deep.
I'm almost sure she's my grandmother. After this call.
Right.
After this show. But no, that's my grandmother.
I don't want to know. I'm sorry.
Hey.
That's deep right there. It's some deep stuff. But folks, think about it. Juneteenth this Friday. Think about incorporating it into your yearly celebration. Think about teaching your children, passing it on to members of your family that might only celebrate American holidays or holidays that the government acknowledge.
Right.
This is us. This is something for us. And it's gonna happen. It's there already, but it's gaining. I want to say Delaware made Juneteenth a holiday for them. I think they did. Was it Pennsylvania or Delaware? It's one or the other. But but it's all this pressure that they're getting now to acknowledge us, to give us the respect that. Yeah, they running scared. They are. They definitely are. But good show. See you online. And
I'm going back to packing.
Yeah. Have fun. Good night.
Okay. Good night.